Hey guys, you're probably thinking that the title for this video is a bit of a strange one. It's titled Forgiveness. As more women contact me, I do a lot of thinking, a lot of reflecting. I try and reflect it and look at it how I can relate to it and with what I went through so that I can help them more. And something I've came across a lot is a lot of women are really hating on themselves, really self-sabotaging themselves, and really beating themselves up. And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about how I felt, and I think most women need to forgive themselves, because I think there's a lot of self-blame with a lot of us, especially those of us who are mums, and it almost feels like we've let ourselves go, which, you know, your body's going to change when you bring life to the world. It's one of the most amazing things you can ever do. And I was thinking about it. I was thinking about how is this working? And what I was thinking about was I had a lot of letdowns during the period where I was vulnerable. It was the first time in my life where I'd been vulnerable, and a lot of people fed into that, and a few things happened to me. And I spent a lot of time being consumed by it, and that's why I ended up in such a bad place. And it was the first time I'd ever let things bother me as well. And I kept thinking, can I forgive these people? Can I move on from it? And I suppose looking at it now, looking at all these women I'm working with, it's sometimes yourself that you need to forgive. I had to forgive myself for letting myself be vulnerable. I was blaming myself for being vulnerable, and everybody's vulnerable at some point. We're humans. And when we get out of shape, I think we really self-hate on ourselves and we really blame ourselves. And maybe at some point we need to look at ourselves and think, do you know what? I'm going to stop taking out on everyone else. I'm going to forgive myself, and I'm just going to make some changes. It might seem a bit of a strange video, but the more I think about it, the more I think, you know, self-sabotage and self-blame when it comes to your body, and especially once you become a mum, and all these feelings of guilt and you don't want to leave your kids, and you know, it's okay to put yourself first, because at the end of the day your kids are feeding off you, and if they see you miserable and they see you beating up on yourself, what are we teaching them? So maybe it's time as women we need to forgive ourselves when we feel that we are not the superhumans that we thought we maybe were before, before we got out of shape, before we had kids, and start looking at ourselves and how we can change that. I hope this makes some sort of sense, because as I say, the more people contact me and the more people are telling me how miserable they are in their own skin and how they feel they'll never get there, and it's clear there's a lot of self-blame, it's my fault I'm like this, I just can't do it. And the more I think, you know, maybe if we just stop, forgive ourselves for being in the position we're in instead of beating ourselves up for it, and make some change, there'll be a massive difference in our life. And for me, certainly, I think that's what's helped, rather than looking at all the people that maybe let me down and fed into when I was in that vulnerable place, and looked at the fact that actually it was myself I was needing to forgive, because I was beating myself up for being vulnerable in the first place, and for being out of shape compared to where I used to be. I was beating myself up and I was making myself feel worse. I hope this makes some sense. It might be a bit woo-woo for some of you, but it was on my mind, and I like to share what's on my mind. And hopefully for some of those ladies who've been contacting me, it might hit home, and I know I've been talking about this to a few of you. So let's stop blaming ourselves, forgive ourselves for where we are, and start making some changes. Speak to you soon, guys.